open this evening's meeting of the Howell Township Council. Date is February 7th, 2023. Madam Clerk, would you read the opening statement?
This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by transmitting the notice of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger by posting it on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements in the Township Municipal Building and by filing it with the municipal clerk on January 6, 2023. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. Take the official roll call. Councilwoman Fisher is absent this evening. Councilman Gazier?
Here.
Councilman Nadell?
Present.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Here.
And Mayor Berger is also absent this evening.
Thank you. We have reason for executive session this evening?
Yes, we do, Madam Deputy Mayor. We have matters involving personnel, contracts, and potential litigation.
May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Can I have a motion for executive session?
Second, please.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you read the executive, oh, I'm sorry, we don't read the,
I'll
when
read.
the minutes will be divulged.
I will read the resolution 23111, authorizes the governing body to enter into executive session and to discuss the following items under personnel, litigation, potential litigation, and contracts. I have a first and a second. Councilman Gazier?
Yes?
Thank you. Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes,
Thank you.
we stand in executive session. Good evening. We will resume our meeting, which we have already opened. May we have a roll call?
Councilwoman Fisher is absent this evening. Councilman Gazier?
Here?
Councilman Nadell?
Present.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Here.
And Mayor Berger is also absent this evening.
I'd ask you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. While we stand, afterward we'll do a moment of silence, and I'd ask that you keep the former Mayor Dante Massa in your thoughts and prayers. We lost our former mayor, and we wish his family peace at this grave time for them. Also, I beg you to think of our country and ask for world peace and guidance for our government so that we as a country will remain strong and safe as well. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. This evening, we have two proclamations. Councilman Gazer, would you like to do the first proclamation?
Yes, I would, thank you. Good evening, everyone. This proclamation from our governing body is in relation to Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week. Whereas the health and well-being of all children throughout Howell are paramount importance to our township's families and community, and whereas thousands of children are born with birth defects every year, including approximately 40,000, which would be 1 in 110, children in the United States who began life with one of more than 35 identified forms of congenital heart defects. And whereas congenital heart defects are among our nation's most common birth defects, and they can be fatal due to their seriousness, insufficient effective medical intervention options, and the limited availability of infant donor hearts. And whereas the origins and symptoms of congenital heart defects are becoming more readily identifiable, and the range of surgical options are expanding continuously thanks to doctors and scientists' diligent research efforts and field experiences that extend our body of knowledge every day. And whereas there is much to learn about the causes of and effective treatments for congenital heart defects, and it is important for parents, family members, pediatricians, and nurses to reflect the warning signs associated with congenital heart defects among newborns so they may provide proper treatment as early as possible. And whereas many of our community's families are directly affected by infant illness and death caused by congenital heart defects, and we applaud the efforts of doctors and scientists everywhere who work diligently to solve life's medical mysteries and to improve the quality of life for all of us. I, therefore, as a representative of the Town Council, do hereby proclaim the week of February 7th through February 14th, 2023, as Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week in the Township of Howell, and call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next proclamation, Councilman Nadell, would you be kind enough to read that?
This is for National Burn Awareness Week. Whereas burn injuries continue to be one of the leading causes of accidental death and injury in our nation, where tragically, children, the elderly, and the disabled are especially vulnerable to burn injuries, and almost 1/3 of all burn injuries occur in children under the age of 15. And whereas in the United States, the CDC reports 276,086 people received medical care for treatment of unintentional burn injuries in 2020, with 3,028 deaths from fire and smoke inhalation. Of 87 hospitals reporting to the American Burn Association Registry, 91,875 people were treated in hospitals for burn-related injuries, with 32% of those being for scalds. And whereas compared to the overall population, children under 5 are 2 times as likely to be seen for burn injuries at a hospital emergency department. Young adults from 20 to 29 had 1.4 times the risk, and those in the 30 to 39 age group had 1.3 times the risk of the general population. And whereas the primary causes of injury include fire flame, scalds, contact with hot objects, electrical, and chemicals. Most of the injuries occur in the home. Today, 96.8% of those who suffer burn injuries will survive. Unfortunately, many of those survivors will sustain serious scarring, lifelong physical disabilities, and adjustment difficulties. And whereas National Burn Awareness Week, an initiative of the American Burn Association, is a coming together of burn, fire, and life safety educators to make the public aware of the frequency, devastation, and causes of burn injury, as well as consistent and authoritative measures to prevent these injuries and how to best care for those that are injured. And whereas the theme for the 2023 National Burn Awareness Week is scalds, hot liquids, burn like fire, where a common risk of injury exists from hot liquids, steam, and hot bath water. And whereas significant research and medical advances have dramatically improved burn care and treatment, aided rehabilitation, shortened hospital stays, and increased burn survival rates. Aftercare support for the physical and emotional effects of burns has also played a key role in the successful reintegration of burn survivors into our communities. Furthermore, burn safety education and prevention efforts continue to reduce the number of people who suffer burns each year. And whereas many people devote their lives and careers to treating, caring for, supporting, and rehabilitating burn injury survivors, including those performing vital work in burn research and development. There are dedicated firefighters who risk their own lives every day to protect others, as well as burn foundations and other life safety professionals who promote burn injury awareness and prevention. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of the governing body, do hereby proclaim the week of February 5th through 11th, 2023 as Burn Awareness Week, and call upon all governmental agencies, fire, life safety and healthcare organizations, communications media, and the people of Howell to observe this week with the appropriate ceremonies and activities.
Thank you. Both proclamations bring incredibly important information, not only to make us more knowledgeable, but certainly to bring the safety issues to the forefront. So let's hope every time we read a proclamation, it definitely makes a difference to one of our residents in town and enables their families to be a little safer. This time, let's move into reports from officials. Whoever would like to go first.
Would you like to continue with the acceptance of minutes?
Can we do the officials
You want to do
first
it
and then go back, if you don't mind?
So I wanted to touch base on probably one of the bigger stories in town over the last few weeks. We had a large house fire on Lanes Pond Road about 2.5 weeks ago. Upon the investigation, the Fire Bureau has done their duty. Code enforcement and community development, as well as the building department, have also investigated. We can put out a few statements as to what happened and what's being done. The building department has issued an unsafe structure. Obviously, with the amount of fire damage, it's not safe for habitation, so that's a requirement of the Uniform Construction Code. Building department also issued 4 other violations for other violations of the code. Code enforcement has issued 6 summonses for alleged ordinance violations. Those violations are alleged until they're heard in municipal court. That date is in a few weeks in the future, so we can provide an update once that goes through the municipal court. The Uniform Construction Code violations can also be appealed to the Construction Board of Appeals. So until we know if that's done, those are alleged violations as well. Since this has occurred, we put out a statement that kind of gave an indication of what was going on and what we are doing, and we've started to receive a lot of complaints. So I want to take the opportunity to clarify what is permitted and what isn't permitted. A lot of complaints we're dealing with are about gatherings of groups of people, some gatherings in private homes. What I want to address is that the gathering of people is not illegal. It does not constitute changes of use on a property. It does not constitute issues that code enforcement or the police department or anyone else have an inherent right to go in and break up. Even if it is a recurring gathering on, say, a Friday night, maybe for a religious purpose, maybe not, that does not constitute any type of ordinance violation. The right to gather is inherent in the Constitution. If, from what I hear, the people that want us to do something about that, I would also have to start looking at who is gathering on the last Thursday of November, December 24th, December 25th, 4th of July, Memorial Day, and those gatherings would have to be treated the same way. So if the idea is that something needs to be done, then we need to do it across the board. The township doesn't discriminate. All of our regulations apply to all people. So if we want to take that stance that gatherings aren't permitted, then that's what's going to happen. And I don't think anybody wants that. What we can do and what we are doing is we're reviewing a lot of our ordinances. First and foremost, we talked about this actually at the last meeting before any events happened. We know, and we've been getting complaints and seeing trends that over-occupancy in rentals and even regular houses is becoming an issue. So I had said last meeting, I think it was Councilwoman Fisher, had asked me to look into some laws and some ordinances, and we have up for introduction an ordinance dealing with our housing and rental code and occupancy. What we did is we specifically documented and codified how to calculate occupancy and what constitutes over-occupancy based on the state housing law. We can't arbitrarily set an occupancy of a maximum of 5 people per house or whatever we want to do. The state housing code sets that, so we put our ordinance in place that's going to not only be there in case we ever come across an occupancy issue that we can issue violations and summonses on before or after the fact, but also in our rental code, we are going to require that occupancy load be specifically stated on a rental certificate, posted inside the house, and it does give, if there's any first responder issue, police issue, or code enforcement issue that requires us and illegally allows us to go into a house to maybe take a look and check on the occupancy. We're calculating that for all new construction, any additions, any increase in living space or bedroom space. We're going to calculate the occupancy and make sure that's known so that if there is ever an issue, we will have that documented. We are also increasing the minimum fines for failure to register a rental property and failure to get a CO. So if you have an unregistered rental and we come across it, if the ordinance passes and once it's active, it'll be a $2,000 violation, $1,000 for failure to register, $1,000 to occupying without a CO. Those will be the minimum fines. So those we're hoping will act as a deterrent and make sure people are coming in to let us know that you're renting and to get your CO inspections, to make sure that we have a chance to see that the accommodations are suitable for habitation. We are exploring other options. We're looking at every code, property maintenance, to our rental ordinances to see where we can tighten things up. Not all of them are in our control. State law dictates how long we have to cure. We have to give somebody to cure a violation. We can't let them know of a violation and write them a summons the next day. That's not going to hold up in court because we have to give them an opportunity to comply. And ultimately, the township's goal is for compliance. Writing summonses is great. We do it all the time. We can go into court. We can collect fines. That doesn't correct the issue. That really isn't serving the purpose of the summons. We want it to act as a deterrent. We want it to get compliance. Without compliance, we can keep writing summonses all day long. It doesn't help the issue. In the meantime, while we work on these ordinances and bring things out, keep the complaints coming. I know that there's been some question as to why the township needs evidence. It's because we can't act on hearsay. We can investigate claims and we can take a look at a complaint, but if we don't have any evidence, then us looking into it and not maybe seeing the violation that's as clear as day, we can't do much more. We don't have rights to walk onto a property, open a front door, look in a window. We just don't. And we can't do that and we won't. So if there's more evidence, then it gives us an ability to do a deeper investigation. What we will not do is accept complaints that are targeted at a person, group of people, race, ethnicity, religion, any affiliation, or any protected class. If there's signs that it's targeted or in some vein of trying to focus on a group of people, we won't tolerate it. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Thank you. Just quickly, I'll key off something that Mr. Howard said. So over the past 2.5 weeks, we've had 6 structure fires in the town. This is more than I think have happened since I've been here over the past 5 years. So we just need people to be more cognizant as cold, we're in cold weather now. There's an enhanced potential for that. Our fire bureau is investigating the causes of these fires, but they run across the board. Some of it is we have combustible materials, heating equipment in close proximity there too, malfunction or improper use of electrical equipment. So everybody just needs to be very careful this time of year. I mean, six in 2.5 weeks is a lot. So with regard to the township itself, we have some good things going on. We are working on a bike path in Bear Swamp. DPW started clearing and grading behind Oakland Park, softball fields. You'll see more of that work happening. We recently acquired a stone and asphalt spreader that's going to help us lay down and maintain paths throughout town. So it's a great ad for our open space. We're working on various park improvements. We're looking to start at Echo Lake and potentially Monmouth Ridings for inclusive type of playground equipment. We know that there's a demand for it, and we're trying to work in some of our more popular areas for that. The Echo Lake playground will be a test site for portable foam material. You may see it on other playgrounds. We're going to try it out here. It apparently is long wearing, easy to repair. So we're gonna put it in rotation and see how it holds up. Senior Center, we've been doing some work there over the past years. We put the railing in. This spring, we're looking to pave part of the parking lot, fix the curbing and sidewalks. So that's going to be happening. Some additional recreational improvements there are going to be coming there, but I think Mr. Howard and I will be taking a trip over there to meet with Melanie Decker, who runs the center, and some of the seniors, and kind of do a straw poll and get an idea for what might best serve them. The stage trailer that we acquired, we're in the process of renovating that. We're going to have the the wall panels ordered and ready to go shortly, so in the not-too-distant future, we're going to be reaching out to theater groups, bands, any sort of entertainment to put the stage to use. We're going to try and get a little summer series going this summer, some opportunities for the use of it in our park, so we'll keep everybody updated on that as time goes on. Bottle filling stations here in Town Hall. We have eliminated a total of 2,624 plastic bottles to date as a result of the use of those stations. The archery range will be completed in the spring when the targets are ordered and available. So we installed both of the store and both of the storm pumps at the Howell PD, so it's a little precautionary measure. Echo Lake, in addition to the portable foam and the inclusive playground equipment, we are going to be replacing the windows at the pavilion this year, so that's going to be happening very shortly. To date, DPW has removed 141 trees from the hazardous tree survey. Road Division cleaned 70 roads of roadside trash, a total of 779 bags. We filled 696 potholes, and more to come. So I just wanted to also say thank you to our first responders, the fire districts, Fire Bureau, PD, OEM, everybody who's been working around the clock on, these fires that have happened the past couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Madam Clerk, would you speak to the plenary license?
Yes, thank you. On March 1st, 2023, at 11 a.m., there will be a plenary retail consumption license bid opening with the minimum bid of $350,000. On February 10th, 2023, applicants are required to submit their 12-page application, certification of proof of compliance, and a certified check for $35,000. There will be an eligibility announcement on February 17th, 2023, at 11 a.m., announcing the pre-qualified bidders with an award of bid by resolution on March 7th at the Township Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin?
No legal updates I can share publicly.
Would you share the minutes information that,
Yes, when we ask for votes upon minutes, the meeting minutes in December, we don't technically have the ability to pass on a quorum because of the change of council membership as well as meeting attendance. So the meeting minutes for the December 13th and December 16th minutes have been circulated to Councilman Nadell and Councilman Gazer. We are going to ask you to vote upon those under the doctrine of necessity so they can be released for public review.
okay, very good. So let's move on to the approval of the minutes. So we're going to accept the December 13th and December 16th. I'm sorry, the 13th will be regular and executive, and December 16th will be the regular minutes. Can I have a motion on those two dates?
You have a motion to accept those minutes?
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Gazer?
Here.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you.
May I have a motion on the January 2nd, 2023 regular and December 17th regular and executive for public release?
Motion to accept the minutes?
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Gazer?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I have a couple of things I'd like to say. Since we've started as council members, even before, we've spoken to a lot of people around the town. Even today, this week, I probably speak to someone on a daily basis about the town. We get some great ideas from you, we get some complaints, and we get people who vent, and we listen to all of them. With that being said, I just want to echo what Matt Howard said in great detail. If you are a property owner in this town, or you plan on purchasing property in this town and renting it, we welcome you. We welcome you as a taxpayer, and we welcome you as someone who will be affording a service to people who may need places to live. But we will not tolerate how you keep those rental properties, and that's pretty much what Matt had explained to you. Now, since we started here, one of the things we've had to do was sit down and have a budget meeting with our head financial guy. And just like your own home, the town has a budget. It's really not much different, except the numbers are a lot higher. Unfortunately, what we found out is, and you may have read about this in the paper, is that the Murphy administration is planning a health care increase for all municipalities that are under the state health care. This is overwhelmingly more than half the towns in the state of New Jersey. And the health care proposed increase is over 20%. Now, you may say to yourself, like I did, how could this happen? Well, the reason why it happened was because the current administration held back what the losses were. The state health care plan has lost $400 million in the last 2 years. That was never disclosed to us. If it was disclosed to us, we could have prepared a little bit better for it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 20% because our financial people are working hard right now. But what I'm going to do is I prepared a letter. And this letter is going to be sent to every member of the New Jersey legislature and the Attorney General. And I want answers. I want answers why all the municipalities in the state had to wait 2 years to find out that this was going to happen. So this puts us under the gun. And if you're familiar with our town, you know that our budget, the biggest item in our budget are our schools. The next item would be our salaries. Third is the healthcare cost. So this will be going out. This will be going out to all of the state officials, and we'll probably do a press release on this also. And you know what? To me, it's despicable that this happened to us, and people are screaming right now, Democrats and Republicans, because they don't know how they're going to pay for this. So what the legislature has proposed is a one-time $300 million supplemental bill to help the towns pay for this, which is only for 1 year. So that means next year the whole thing is. So you may be hearing about this, you may be seeing it, but I just want to let you know, listen, we're working as hard as we can to fight this and bring down that cost because it affects everybody. So, thank you.
Oh, that your whole report, Mr. Gazer? Okay. Councilman Nadell, do you have anything for your report?
Not this time.
Okay. I think I'll wait till the end of the meeting then, and we'll, before we announce any of our new announcements, such as new dates coming up for meetings, and we'll just sort of redo the reports in case something comes up during the meeting that we can readdress, and maybe that's the best time then to do a report. So that's what we'll do. All right. So let's go to our resolutions.
Deputy Mayor, we have the hearing of citizens, public
I'm so
comments.
sorry. Yes, I need the list. I apologize about that list.
No one's on the list for this evening.
We took out 111 away from this.
Each person shall give their name and address to the clerk. The council should be addressed as a collective body and not as an individual members. Each person shall have one turn to address council, and comments shall not exceed a total of 5 minutes. Speakers shall be notified when their time has run, and no time extensions shall be permitted.
We have one person on this, and that would be Mary McBath.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
I've lived in Howell. I came from the hospital to Howell, so I've been here a long, long time. I live on Addison Road. And I've noticed that I understand with the pandemic, I haven't really seen a lot of police, like through the neighborhood or through any neighborhood, not even at the pizza parlor, you know? And I'm just wondering what's going on with that? Like, I can't believe this.
That's okay. Everyone has Ring now. We're all accustomed.
Sorry
It's
about
okay.
that. The issue that I'm seeing in my neighborhood is rentals with a lot of different cars, people sitting outside into the cars with headlights facing towards windows of other occupants. And it's just not what Howell was or is or what has been. There's a change and there's nobody mandating. Like, as a teenager, if we sat in a car, 5 cops came up on us, you know? So I'm just wondering why is there no presence in our neighborhoods? Because there is issues. Also, parking on Fridays in Glenarden on both sides of the road. So if 2 cars are going through, you can't safely go past. I mean, I would say, is there an ordinance with one side parking or anything like that? And maybe it's something that you guys could address because it's dangerous. You know, you can't see the way the cars are parked, like anybody could walk across, and it's a neighborhood, you know. Basically, it's different amounts of cars. I'm nervous about the renters in my neighborhood being like a weekly change of renters. Like a lot of different, like changes and then like mattresses and stuff outside on the front lawn. And it's bad. It's bad. Where I think that, I don't know if one of my neighbors contacted the owner of the house in White Plains, New York, and said something to her about it because then a truck came and cleaned up everything. But it was 3 days. There was baby cribs and mattresses and stuff out on the front lawn like somebody got thrown out, like somebody didn't pay their share of the rent and got thrown out. I mean, I pay almost $11,000 a year in taxes. You know, I have 4 kids that went through the schools here. Humanities, Mass, FPAC. So I have a feel for the community. I've chaired all kinds of bazaars in the school systems and stuff like that, but Howell is part of my town. I mean, it's my town, and I'm really concerned about how come nobody is doing anything or even questioning any of the behavior that's going on in our developments. You know, my daughter comes home from the hospital at night, and I don't sleep because I wait for her to get in because I don't know who my neighbors are anymore. And I don't know if they're going to be the same people that I spoke to or passed by and said hello when I walked the dog last week. You know, I'm starting to not feel safe, is what I'm saying. And I've never not felt safe in Howell.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, if you have some answers for me, I'd love it.
Well, I think administration had just given quite a synopsis of things that they are doing.
Oh.
Mr. Clark or Mr. Howard, if there's something that you'd like to add at this time?
Sure, so I've written down, and, typically we'll wait for the public comment section to close, and we'll address, again, what we've done and what our intentions are going forward.
Perfect, thank you.
But my question is neighborhood policing. It used to be, I know we have a strong police force. I know from my tax bill, we pay a lot of money for it. Where are they? And why are they not driving through the neighborhood? Why are they not? I understand that the police are in the school. It's very important for them to know kids that way, but they should also know kids in the neighborhoods. And if they do, I think that it would make residents safer, feel safer, and I think that Howell Police need to do that before things get out of hand. And they're not going to be strong enough to handle what's coming.
Your 5 minutes has ended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public that'd like to come up and speak to any issue on the resolutions or any other matter?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Sandra Vieira. I live on Hialeah Court. I came here tonight because I love Howell. We moved here 7 years ago, or 6 years ago, because of the fact that Howell is a town that cares about the people. It's a safe place. And it has a neighborhood feel. You're able to send your kids to school and walk the neighborhoods. Just to add to what everyone else has been saying, I want to reiterate what everyone else has been saying, hopefully to maybe take some of the resolutions further. You guys have so much more credibility than I do in terms of resolutions, so I will lay out the concern and you guys can take it from there. My concern is also with the renters. I did not move to Howell to be surrounded by that. And I'll leave it at that. I'm sure all of you know what I mean. If I wanted to live with renters and that type of environment, I would have moved somewhere else. The other issue, which is very hard to say, but I will say it. Our family has felt a little harassed lately in terms of several times being approached, being reapproached, being begged, and inappropriately being asked to buy our home. This has happened with my 3- and 5-year-old in front of us. No need to get into psychology, but it's not okay, it's not appropriate, it's not ethical. And again, if I wanted to live in a neighborhood or a town where that was appropriate, I would. But Howell is characteristically different from other towns, and that's why we chose it. I don't know what the resolution is, but I do know that residents of Howell want to have rights as well. We want to be protected as well. So I lay that out on the table, and I hope that you guys can figure something out in order to protect all parties. I know you have quite a significant amount of individuals that you have to protect, but I do want to request that the Howell residents do reserve the rights to live peacefully, and to stop being harassed, to maintain and preserve the neighborhood feel, and hopefully, aside from just the number of occupants within rental properties, to try to bring the neighborhoods of Howell back to that neighborhood feel. It is quickly digressing, rapidly digressing, and scarily digressing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to? I'm sorry,
I'd like to say something.
please.
Okay.
Your name and address, please?
Nelson Jusino, I live at 35 Forest Hill Drive. I've been living in Howell since 1991. I moved here from Jersey City. Now, let me specify, it's a city. Howell is not a city, it's a township. And like the previous speaker said, if I wanted to move into a city with boarding houses and so forth, apartments, yes, I would. And like you said, you cannot barge into somebody's house and say how many people live there, okay? I know that. But a cancer is growing in Howell. In 3 or 5 years from now, you better hire more cops, you better hire more firefighters, and I'm talking about paid firefighters, EMS, and teachers, and maybe buses. Because 3 or 5 years from now, Howell is going to change into a city. So you don't have to do anything. You can relax and let this cancer grow. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to move. I already moved from Jersey City. I'm not going to move. And I'm just saying because it's happening in my block. Go down Forest Hill Drive. It's happening. So, and they're bold. Like the previous people said, over here speaking, they're bold. And they don't care. They're the ones that will tell a cop, you take that badge and you shove it. Okay? That's how bold they are. So, let the cancer grow. I'm not moving. And that's it. Let Howell Township be like Newark, Patterson, and Jersey City. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak?
Good evening, everyone. Pam Richmond, 185 Locust, and I'm going to change the subject. Sorry, guys. I just have a couple of things I just want to put on the record. And sitting up there, I know this is very difficult, and it's not easy to sit and listen to residents, you know, when you're sitting up here and there's really not much you can do and not really much that our professionals can do, and I know that you guys are doing a great job. So that's a segue into, want to talk about Resolution R23-110, and that is authorization of the agreement between Township of Howell and the manager, Joe Clark. I, for one, I worked with Joe. I worked with Joe for 4 years when I sat up on the council. Joe has done amazing things, and as you can see here tonight, he's listed numerous things, and Matt Howard, who works with him, and Caitlin and the council, they're really doing their best to fix things and move things forward in Howell. I have a list of accomplishments. I have a list of things that Joe has done, that we have done collectively, Evelyn and myself, and Suzanne Brennan, who's in the back there. We wanted to come and make sure that everyone is aware that working with Joe Clark was the best thing that happened to Howell for my 4 years sitting up there, even through COVID. And although he was the township attorney turned manager, I can assure the residents that are here sitting behind me and the ones that are watching, that if anybody can get this stuff done and keep Howell safe and figure things out, it's that team right there. So with that said, I know the council didn't go out and do a search. I didn't feel when I sat up there, and I think they concur, there was no reason to do a search. We had someone right here, right in front of us, working hard every day, lives here in Howell, cares about Howell. And like I said, if everybody can just get behind Joe and the current council here, I know it's hard, but like I said, if anybody can do it, it's Joe Clark and that team over there. And rest assured, I know what you guys are going through. I've seen it. I've worked through it. I've tried to work through it. It gets harder every day. It's everywhere. It's not just here in Howell. I live here with my 2 children as well, and again, I have all the confidence in the world in this council and that team over there, so just please be patient with them, and again, I say the same thing that Councilman Gager says. We don't govern, or we don't never govern on social media, so if you do have concerns, it's very important that you do come to these meetings and speak, and you all did a great job doing that. Social media is not the place to do it. Call them, write to them. They're available. They're here to help, and I can assure you that Joe Clark is the man for the job. So passing this resolution is one of the best things that you guys can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak this evening? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close public session?
Motion to close?
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Our resolutions,
Deputy Mayor, there were some questions and points that came up
Would you
during
like to answer
public
them
comment.
now?
Yeah, well, I think we'll have Mr. Howard address some of the issues that came up about rentals.
Excellent.
Very quickly, I will say, for the solicitation for the house sales, we passed an ordinance last year addressing specifically that issue. So if that's happening, you can reach out to the clerk, to myself, to Mr. Howard, let us know what's going on, and we'll guide you through it. So we do have an ordinance that addresses that very thing.
Addresses what thing, which thing?
Solicitation for the sale of houses.
Oh, okay.
So just a couple of the things that were noted, mattresses on the front lawn, things like that, contact my office right away. Day one, there's no 2-day, we'll get out there, code enforcement, that's almost a drive-by. You go in, you log the violation. Now, with that said,
Our neighbors have.
okay, and
What's been
okay.
done?
how long?
The public comment is closed right now. We're going to let our professionals speak.
Let my office know and we'll issue a violation. Now, violations have to be put in writing to the owner, certified in regular mail, and we do that. Mail takes a day or two. We have to give a cure period. Anywhere, almost every one of our ordinances is 14 days based on the required law. Only then can we issue a summons. If we issue a summons on day 5, then we go to court and it gets thrown out. And guess what? Nothing gets cleaned up. So we have to follow the law. The summons acts as a deterrent. I talked about that earlier. If we want to speed it up, we're going to look into ways to incentivize compliance sooner. But we can't arbitrarily give 2 days and say, well, now we're bringing you into court because it's not going to get it done. Regarding single side of the road parking, we can look into certain areas. We don't have ordinances in place to that right now. In some cases, the residential design standards, the RSIS, that these developments are built under, don't allow it, but we can look into where it is possible. In an area like Glen Arden, there is also an HOA that has jurisdiction over their roads. So it's not always something that the township or the council can just pass an ordinance and create. One factor that I think everybody knows is that we can't limit the number of rentals in a town. We can't tell somebody what, to that level, what to do with their property. There's been an increase. I note at least a 20% of the rentals we know, 20% increase this year. And we know that in certain areas, there's more rentals than not. We hope that through our heightened enforcement, our new ordinances, that it's going to trickle down and create better properties and create better situations. But that's going to take time. That's going to take the entire process working through. That's going to take us not rushing from violation to summons too quickly and getting things thrown out. It's going to take us going into court and getting convictions and guilty verdicts from the judge and fines being issued and repeated fines being issued. Then the word spreads. Howell goes by the book. Howell follows the law. So we are not going to jeopardize our reputation and our stake in the big picture. And I understand that's difficult when you're looking at something next door that just doesn't sit well with you. But we're not going to jeopardize our reputation with the courts, with the bigger picture here. And we're going to make sure that we do it by the law. And yes, word will get out. And I really hope things will improve. That will take time. But we are not going to turn a blind eye or look the other way. We are going to make sure that the issues get brought up the way they need to, and then the trickle-down effect from there. That's what I can offer right now.
Thank you. Anything else administration would like to add?
No, Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so at this time, we will move into the rest of the agenda, the resolutions, which starts with, will there be a motion to move the resolutions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolutions R23-84 to R23-110 and R23-112.
Second.
Okay, and pulling out.
Yeah, we're going to call out one, R23-111.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Gager,
Yes.
Councilman Nadell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell.
Yes.
Thank you. The consent resolutions pass.
Councilman Gage, you want to do the one you pulled out? 122.
111. I don't have 111 on my list.
Okay.
Or 23-92.
92, yes. Is there a motion for 2392?
Make a motion, R2392.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman
Excuse me,
Gager?
Deputy Mayor, I don't know if there is discussion on that particular motion.
Was there any discussion on,
Yeah,
92?
I had a statement I'd like to make
please, go ahead.
regarding this resolution. Back in 2017, New Jersey changed their bail policy throughout the state, coming down from the Democratic Party in Trenton. And regrettably, but not surprisingly, since then, crime has been spiking throughout the state, and more specifically, vehicle thefts in Monmouth County. Howell hasn't been impacted as much as some of these other towns, but we're still seeing an increase in thefts based on this reckless and irresponsible policy. Based on my research that I pulled relating to vehicle theft since 2017 in Howell, we've seen some significant increases. So for the following years, these are each compared to the 2017 numbers prior to this policy going into effect. In 2018, so a 33% increase in vehicle thefts. 2019, a 100% increase in vehicle thefts. 2020, a 50% increase in vehicle thefts. 2021, a 266% increase. And in 2022, a 150% increase. In addition to these vehicle thefts, crime numbers for the 7 major crimes throughout our town in '22 was the highest it has been in the last 7 years. And this is in spite of us having one of the best police departments in the state. Sad fact of it is that until criminals fear imprisonment, crime's going to continue moving in the wrong direction. As a retired police officer, I have a number of concerns with allowing criminals to be free on the streets while cases are pending trial. The governor's policy has a major impact on officer safety and the safety and security of our residents. Every interaction that one of our police officers has with an individual who should otherwise not be on the street is a potential for a dangerous altercation and outcome. Each time a police officer responds to a call for service, there is risk involved, which is significantly increased when dealing with career criminals or those that don't fear imprisonment or the consequence of breaking the law. These policies also put additional risk to our residents, since criminals who don't fear the police certainly won't change their actions when committing any offense within our town. These reckless policies also have an indirect impact on officer safety when officers are taken out of service to take a criminal report. The result is fewer officers on patrol, and there are less backup available to other calls for service when a sector is out of service taking a report for a past crime that could have been prevented by keeping a criminal in prison. These are just a few of the consequences of the harmful policies forced upon us by Governor Murphy and the Democrats in Trenton. They need to stop treating crime and criminality as a partisan issue and realize that criminals don't care about your party affiliation when committing another crime. The only thing that criminals fear is imprisonment, and that is what the current state bail policy has taken away. This isn't the only problem that is being created by the governor and the Democrat-controlled state legislature. In fact, there's a pattern of failed policy across the board. Millions of dollars in funding cuts to our Howell schools, coinciding with major increases in health benefit costs to municipal workers that Councilman Gager just referenced, will lead to an increased level of local taxes on our town. Forcing municipalities to destroy open space and overdevelop our towns with affordable housing are just a few more examples of problems that Trenton is forcing on us and causing for local towns and our government. Adding this to a pro-criminal policy makes New Jersey and Howell less safe. I refuse to sit idly by while more and more harmful policies continue to come from Trenton that are nothing but bad for our town of Howell. The local governments are the ones left holding the bag when in fact we don't want these harmful policies being imposed on our residents. The state needs to be held accountable for their actions that are having a significant negative impact on the local towns. Many of these failed policies need to change, whether it be through appealing to the Democrat majority in Trenton or through litigation. For starters, I would like to thank Middletown Township for taking the lead in holding the state accountable for the current crime issue, and I am proud to extend our support and pass a resolution in favor of forcing new bail reform. In less than 2 months since taking office, we have seen firsthand the impact of the Murphy policies on Howell. It's a disgrace. I would also request that Mayor Berger join me in condemning Governor Murphy's pro-criminal policies. I am asking for her to step up and join the fight and send a message to her party that these outrageous policies must stop now. I have had enough with their reckless policies, and I will fight to defend Howell no matter what. Tonight is just the start of our efforts to push back and stand up for Howell. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, can I get a motion to approve?
I'd like to
resolution?
approve Resolution R 23-92.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Geisler?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes,
Thank you. The resolution passes.
well said, Councilman. Okay, so we shall move into the public hearing and adoption of ordinances, starting with ordinance 23-01. Madam Clerk, will you read the title?
An ordinance setting forth and amending and supplementing the salary range schedule for the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Howell.
Thank you. All right, so let's open this to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this particular ordinance? If so, please step forward.
Good evening, everyone. Suzanne Brennan, 59 Camelot Drive. I just would be remiss if I didn't speak on this ordinance or on the resolution, one or the other, because it is involving our manager, Mr. Joe Clark. I had the honor and privilege of working with him and his team for, I don't know how many months, almost a year. And I have to say, just the difference between when I started on the governing body and when I left, the trajectory just skyrocketed, and it was under his leadership and under the team that he was building, because he has an ability to bring people together and to get the job done. He has a passion like none other, and a work ethic like none other, and a drive to get things done. And he is building a team with Matt and Caitlin and everybody around that, you know, it was just so impressive to sit and work with them on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, all of the above. I have the most trust and confidence in his ability to sit in this position. And, former Deputy Mayor Richmond also mentioned that we did not do that search. I didn't feel that we needed to do that search, because when you do a search, you have a list of check boxes. And you say, okay, these are all the things that we're looking for. We had somebody sitting right in our presence that checked off every box and then some. So I just want to reiterate how much I believe in what we are doing here and what we have in Mr. Joe Clark, because he will lead our town. It is a hard job, and as Deputy Mayor Richmond, or former Deputy Mayor Richmond, had said, it's hard, and there's a lot of things going on, and these guys have their hands full. But I trust and believe that they are addressing all of these things. When the public comes up, it's heard. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, I get that, because things move slowly, but it really is heard. Your voices matter, and I am so happy to see people come up and speak up, because it really is important. So I implore you to always do that. Never think that it's taken lightly, because the folks sitting at the dais, the folks sitting at the side, do listen, and they want to hear that, because you're important. You're the residents. We all matter, and they do listen. So keep doing that. You've got a team here who's ready to listen and ready to work, come up with creative solutions to help the town continue to grow, thrive, and yet still keep the characteristics that we know and love that brought us all to Howell. So thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Thank you to the council, and thank you to the administration. Keep doing a great job.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to address this specific ordinance? If so, please step forward. Seeing none, I ask for a motion to close the public.
Motion to close public.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt 02301.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes,
The ordinance is adopted.
thank you. Ordinance 23-02.
An ordinance of Howell Township authorizing the acceptance by the township of a donation of the Kent Plaza Sewer Pump Station.
Thank you. Is there any comments from the public? And if so, please step forward to be heard. No one wishes to address this ordinance? I have a motion and a second to close public portion.
Motion to close.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Roll call, please. I'm sorry, motion, please.
Motion to adopt ordinance 23-02.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
All right, next, now we're moving into introduction of ordinances. That would be, the first one is 023-03.
An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
Thank you. May I have a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce 02303.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes on first reading.
Next motion to introduce is 023-04.
Motion to introduce 023-4.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Thank you. It's an ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 178 of the Township Code entitled Housing Code Rental Property. Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you. This ordinance is approved on first reading.
Next ordinance for introduction is 0-23-05.
An ordinance of the Township of Howell clarifying implementing ordinance 0-22-24.
Motion to approve 023-05.
Second, please.
Second.
Councilman Gager?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Thank you. This ordinance passes on first reading.
Thank you. I'd like to ask if there's any further reporting from council at this time.
Just very quickly from myself, Deputy Mayor, I'm just going to ask, I know that we're missing the mayor and Councilwoman Fisher, but I'm going to ask that council sort of be on call because we're going to be working on a lot of ordinances over the next few months. We may end up calling for some special meetings so we can get things done even quicker. So, I know that's the marching orders we have from you guys, so I just want to reiterate, we're all going to be working pretty quick to get things done for you.
We all anticipate those dates. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any further matters from council members?
Nothing.
I did have something that I wanted to discuss, and that being, we have made settlements on the Colau property, and I was wondering, that particular property triggered some thoughts for me, and that I have been discussing with administration about doing some veteran housing, and I was wondering if there's a possibility on that particular site, if we might be able to look into that area and see if we might be able to go forward with some housing for veterans only.
So the answer to that's yes. We can talk to Andy Baer, who is our Affordable Housing Council, and sort of figure out the parameters of what we might be looking to do. It's a pretty good area because depending on sort of the target audience market for those types of houses, we have the daycare right there as well that we're trying to reactivate. We're working with Sergeant Hill and the PAL to get that up and running again. So it might be nice to have housing for younger veterans and younger families and have daycare right nearby. So we will definitely talk to Andy Baer about getting that going.
I really look forward to trying to put something together in an expedient manner, because I know pre-planning is just as lengthy as actually building. So the need is just so tremendous that I know we haven't overlooked it. We just never seem to have the right pieces to the puzzle, but this may be the right puzzle for
Yeah,
this time.
this is an excellent tool in our toolkit. And, we've been working behind the scenes. We're not ready to go out into the public with them yet, but we do obviously do it. 2025 is coming, and that's the next round. And we're working on a number of strategies that, include building, including working to hit our quota, figuring out what that might be, without going into too great a detail, resisting some of the mandates that are coming out on it. So we will see, but certainly there's a lot of pieces, a lot of balls in the air right now even, but we'll talk to Mr. Bear about making this one a reality.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And as you know, we've been talking about this for quite some time, and I know everything does take time. So again, thank you. Again, I just wanted to remind people again that the former Mayor Danny Massa had passed away. I did attend his viewing. He certainly left a huge footprint in Howell Township through the years that he worked here. And I'm not sure that there's anybody that has lived here over 15 years that doesn't know exactly the face that belongs to that name. So again, extend my condolences to the family. The resolution, or the proclamation that we have put together was not done tonight, not because we didn't feel that it needed to be done. It's because we're sensitive to the timing on it, and his family, as you know, they actually just had services and buried him. To be sensitive to the family and their time of healing, we opted to push it off just a little to make it simpler. We hope for the family to be able to attend and to take part in actually receiving the proclamation. We feel it's so important that we honor Mr. Massa for everything he's done in our community. We just wanted to give them a little more time. So hopefully it's our very next meeting, Mr. Clark, that we'll be able to do this.
Absolutely, we'll make it a priority.
So, again, it's always sad when you lose people, and it's particularly sad when you lose people that, had a heart bigger than Howell. But as I said, he had a huge footprint in this town. And I'm sure that there's people sitting in the office tonight that have 10 stories they could tell. Secondly, I just wanted to also say that I'm going to continue being the liaison to the senior center and to the Howell Library. And that being said, I want to remind people that the Senior Gazette, which, by the way, is now coming out in color, which is very nice, well done, Melanie, has come out. And I can't say enough times what the senior citizen community has at its disposal from our center. They offer something every day. And their Gazette that they put out has exactly their calendar. Every day is something, whether it be a trip, lunches, speakers, crafts, haircuts, senior advice from attorneys. It is incredible what we offer. And I implore you to pick up one of the Gazettes, I think on the coffee table on this end of the building. You'll find more copies. Or you can call the Senior Center, speak to Melanie Decker, who's in charge, and her extension is 2550, I believe. What they offer, it's almost ridiculous, the services that are there. And although we do have a very healthy membership, I know we have more seniors in our town that could take advantage of it. There's Meals on Wheels. They always need volunteers to help them. They ask for volunteers to come in and just help for the day. Maybe you can give, 1 day a month. Maybe it's 2 days a year. Melanie's always happy to take whatever volunteer efforts come to her door, and donations of food, supplies, crafts, and whatnot. So they're doing a very lovely thing for Valentine's Day. And if you don't take part in it yourself, please, don't let this opportunity pass by your neighbors or perhaps family members. And if they're not in our town, I'm sure their town offers something too. Let's not forget that every segment of the community has needs. And there's always something out there. And just because you don't take advantage of it doesn't mean that the guy next to you couldn't take advantage of it. So, I always ask for people to try to remember that as well. Also, we are revamping our website to make it more user-friendly. We've been working on it, administration's been working on this very hard. And I don't think I've ever said it from the dais, and I'm shocked that I haven't, because it is just so important. There's many things on social media that speak about Howell Township, that speak about what's happening in Howell or not happening, or what they're happy with, not happy with, whatever the situation. We all know that social media is a matter of people's opinions. Typically, and too often, I'm afraid that sometimes people that are unhappy post things that apply to something that made them unhappy. And it may give people reading that particular sentence that day the wrong information. We have an official website in Howell, and I would ask that people go to the official website to get the accurate information. If you don't have a computer, you can call Town Hall. You can speak to our manager, Mr. Clark, who is very happy to help you. We have others in administration. Somebody will take your call for sure, give you the information you need. Feel free to get a hold of any council member that can at least put you in the direction that you need. Our official website, which is where you're going to find the exact answer without opinion, which I feel is very important, because that would mean that, from my way of thinking, that means it's the accurate website, is www.twp.howell.nj.us. So although the other websites, they might be fun, or they might be a way, for people to vet things they're not happy with, or even sometimes I understand that, we do get a little bit of credit for something they are happy with. I would ask that you also look at the official website so that you actually have the correct answer. But don't hesitate to reach out to Town Hall or to a council member for the correct information, because I think that if you're asking the question, then you have the need to know, and we really want you to have the correct answer. So, next and final, let me give you our next meeting date is February 21st. Executive session is at 6. Regular meeting would start at 7. And in the meantime, remain safe. I ask that you enjoy, maybe even the senior center. You might want to enjoy Valentine's Day next week there. We have President's Day coming up, Valentine's Day. It's some time to either spend with your family, people that you love, maybe a neighbor that doesn't have anybody, could use a knock on the door and a Valentine's Day card. Reaching out a little bit doesn't hurt any of us. And if we all just did one thing, what a better place the world would be. So in the meantime, be careful on the roads. It is winter. Be careful with your electrical heaters. They can be very, very dangerous. Thank you for coming out, and have a good evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.